Alright, this video is going to be a lot of talk. It's going to be all talk, just talking about plans, ideas, and thoughts for what the camper build is going to be. I'm a long ways from actually starting on this build, but I want to start talking about plans and ideas and also getting some feedback from you. If that's not what you want to watch today, just move on, find something else. I won't be offended. If you've been watching my channel for long, you know that usually when I do my DIY projects, I put everything together beginning to end, and then I release a video about it. This time it's going to be a little bit different. As I build out this camper, I'm going to take you along for the ride, and I would love to have your input, comments, and suggestions as I go. And if you're new to the channel, this is my Topo Toppers Mesa wedge camper on my Nissan Frontier Pro-4x. Now this video isn't going to be about the camper itself. I'm going to be talking about the build that I'm going to do on the inside. If you want to learn more about this camper, I do have a video about it. You'll find a link in the description below. Now, as I've mentioned in previous videos, one of the things I really appreciate about this style of camper is that even though I've got no build out in here, I'm able to get out and camp with it right away. I threw some of the stuff that I need into bins, put it back here, and it's perfectly functional. I've been out camping in it. It works great. Even with my stuff stored in bins, I can get up in here and move around, get into and out of bed. So one really nice aspect of this style of camper is that you don't have to actually build it out. You can really just leave it as a shell, get out and camp when you want to camp, and still really retain your truck bed if you want to. Now for me, the main purpose of my truck, this whole vehicle, is to get out on adventures, camp, explore the backcountry, and I'm filming at the same time as I'm doing this. So what I'm really after is a very functional system that is fast to set up when I get to camp and fast to break down when I want to leave in the morning. And I've had the camper on the truck for about a month now. I haven't started any sort of build on the inside because I have been working to finish a rear bumper on the truck. So that has been my focus and will continue to be my focus until I get that finished. As I said, I can get out and camp in this, so there's not a huge hurry to get this all built out super quick. In fact, I want to take my time, even if I only do it piece by piece. So this video will be part one in a series of I don't know how many videos over I don't know how much time it will take me to build this out, but I'm going to bring you along for the ride every step of the way, and as I mentioned before, I would love to hear from you as I go. So here's a real quick rundown of my goals of what I want to accomplish with this build out. I'm just going to outline them here real quick, and then I will talk about each one of them more specifically. You will find in the bottom of the video player chapter links so you can jump to any section that you want to jump to. So first thing is insulation. I definitely want to insulate the walls, and then I want to cover that insulation with some sort of finished covering. I want to have some kind of floor in here, and then for the actual sort of furnishings of the build out itself, I would like them to be modular in a way that they're removable without too much trouble, so that I can use the truck for hauling if I need to. The goal of what's getting built into here, first and foremost, is organized and accessible storage for the things I need to be able to get out when I'm in the back of the truck. I do want to create some sort of a standing height counter where I can possibly do very basic cooking or making coffee in the morning when the weather is inclement. I want to have some sort of couch sort of spot where I can sit with the camper deployed or with the camper down, or where I can curl up for a quick nap in the middle of the afternoon. I want to build in a very basic electrical system centered around my Jackery power stations that will simply allow me to power some lighting and recharge devices when I'm in here. And I want to have some sort of heat that is not my Mr. Heater buddy. So those are sort of my goals for the build. Let's talk about each one of those specifically. Now, I insulated my previous camping setup, a basic aluminum topper with 1-inch rigid foam insulation, and it really made a noticeable difference not only in winter but also in summer. It got less hot in there. So I definitely want to insulate the inside of this like I did before, and I think I'm likely to use the same material, the foil-backed polyiso 1-inch rigid foam insulation. I've done that before. That's pretty straightforward. There's really not a lot of uncertainty or questions about that. I I've seen some people use the pink insulation instead of the foil-backed insulation. I know the pink is a little less expensive, but I believe the foil-lined polyiso has a slightly higher R value. It's not really that much more expensive. If you have some insight into using the pink over the foil-backed polyiso, let me know. So this is my old topper. I still have it here. So I use the foil-lined polyiso, as I mentioned. And as you can see, I never covered it with anything. I might have got there eventually if I had kept this on the truck. In the new build, I definitely want to cover whatever insulation I put in there. Now my thinking is just to use like sort of indoor-outdoor carpeting. I've seen that done on a number of builds, and it looks good. It looks relatively simple to do. It seems to be reasonably affordable, and I've seen people like use Velcro to attach stuff to that carpet, so it's got sort of a practical element to it as well. I've seen some builds that look really nice with wood paneling inside the campers, like my friend Jason, who has finished out his van with wood all inside. It's like a little rolling cabin, very cozy. I'm not gonna live in this thing. It's for camping. It's, you know, a week, 10 days at a time usually at most. I don't know that I want to go to that much trouble, expense, and carry that much weight for an interior finish. But I don't know what all materials are available out there. I'm definitely open to, you know, what possibilities there might be. The indoor-outdoor carpeting is what I'm thinking, but if there's something else that you've seen that seems interesting, you know, let me know. As you can see, I've got some scrap wood down in here that I'm using as a floor, so that I'm not walking on the corrugated metal of the bed of the truck, which is uncomfortable to walk in, especially once you get your shoes off, and in winter it's pretty cold. So I definitely want to build some kind of floor into this, and there's not a lot to talk about there, but I mentioned it as one of the things that I wanted to have in this build. One thing I definitely kicked around is the idea of building the floor higher up from the bed of the truck in order to have some storage space underneath it. These wedge campers, when they're popped up, they're very high. I don't come anywhere near touching the roof when I'm walking around in the bed of the truck. As you can see, with the bed fully collapsed and standing all the way up against the very front of the bed of the truck, I'm still a long ways away from the roof. I could easily be up a number of inches and still have plenty of headroom. Now I have some reasons not to do that, and I'll explain those later on. I'm still considering the possibility of maybe building it up just slightly in order to have just a couple of inches to be able to slide some relatively flat things up underneath there. That could be pretty practical. So I would like what I build into here to be somewhat removable. It doesn't have to be instantly removable. I think, you know, probably 90% of the time, whatever I build in here, I'm going to want it to stay in here so that I'm ready to go and hit the road really at a moment's notice, which is also sort of one of my goals. But one of the struggles that I ran into with my previous build is that it was very, very difficult to use the truck to haul anything at all. The modularity, removability is not a super, super high priority. It's something that I'm thinking about. I would like to be able to, you know, undo some bolts, pull out, you know, a furnishing, and gain some space in here to haul something if I absolutely need to. How feasible that's going to be to build what I want to build and have it adequately secured in here for off-road travel and still have it be relatively easy to remove, you know, I don't know. That may be unrealistic, but it's something that at least I want to keep in mind as I work through building this out. Obviously, a primary function of whatever I build in here is going to be storage. And for me, not just storage, but accessible storage. You know, you can store stuff in bins, but I tell you what, it drives me crazy moving stuff around, moving bins off of other bins, digging around inside of bins. I really want everything to have a place so that everything can be in its place. I can go right to it, access it, clothes, outerwear, shoes, kitchen stuff, you know, a week or so's worth of dry goods, water, miscellaneous other things. Now I am building some storage into the rear bumper swing out, so hopefully that's going to handle my chainsaw, some of my recovery gear. But what I really want to accomplish with the storage is that everything is very accessible, nothing is hidden behind anything else. I can get at it, get what I need, close something up and also have everything secured, because, you know, this truck goes down bumpy roads and, you know, I don't want everything falling out every place. People who get out on the trail with me for the first time are often surprised to find out that sometime mid-afternoon, an hour or so after lunch, I take a nap. I take a nap every single day. I take a 12-minute nap. I've done it for many, many years. I find it hugely beneficial, very refreshing, and keeps me going through the day. And a definite priority for me with this build is to have a spot where I can pop in here, curl up for a quick 10-minute nap without deploying the camper and getting the bed set up. So I'm visualizing some sort of couch kind of thing. Obviously it'll only be 5 feet long, but for a 10-minute nap that's fine. This would also be a spot where, you know, I could sit in here on a cold, windy, rainy day if I needed to, and potentially also sit in here to work on a laptop computer or something, maybe with some sort of a fold down desk surface that comes off of the other piece on the other side. I don't know. It remains to be seen. But that's sort of the idea. Now obviously whatever I build into here as a spot to sit on and sleep on, you know, we'll create some storage on the inside, and what's going to go inside of that is also yet to be determined. I talked about the potential of building up the floor height before, and one of the reasons why I don't want to build that up any higher is because I would like whatever I build over on this side, you know, as my napping space and my sort of couch sitting space to, you know, be high enough to be comfortable to sit on, but also not be so high that you know, I can't make use of this window. I would like it to be low enough that I can sit here and, you know, kind of see out the window, at least, you know, even if I can't see 100%. If I build this floor up any amount and then I want to build an additional height up, you know, where I can sit on, I'm going to end up so high up that the window is going to be down below me, and I feel like that would be kind of a shame. On a cold, blustery day, camped at the coast, it would be great to be able to sit right here, look out this window, enjoy the view, but still be enclosed in here. So part of what I'm visualizing for the storage that will be along this side of the camper is some sort of a standing height counter that where I could, you know, make some coffee, and whatever would be along here obviously is going to cover the cargo door on the driver's side of the camper, but I'll talk about that in just a minute. Now, I don't see myself cooking in here on any sort of a regular basis. It really would just be, you know, on a cold, wet morning if I wanted to make coffee in here, or a really nasty evening if I needed to heat up a can of chili or something and not be cooking outside. I really prefer to cook outside, not fill my sleeping space with, you know, fumes and odors from cooking. Before Topo even built the camper for my truck, I knew that I wanted to have some sort of storage and counter space over on this side of the truck, which I knew would come up, you know, sort of this high. So that it was pointless to have a window here. And I nearly had them build this with just a solid wall. That reduces the cost if you don't, you know, add another feature here. But then it occurred to me that whatever cabinet, storage, whatever I build right here, I could build some sort of compartment into it that is accessible from the outside. Now, it's a fairly common sort of design element on a lot of these wedge campers where these entire side panels open up on each side, which gives you the sort of access into the bed of the truck. But me, you know, I don't really need access into the bed of the truck from the outside. I mean, the stuff that's in here, I could get in through the tailgate. And the truck, you know, lifted and on larger tires, and I'm not super tall, it's impractical for me to access the bed of the truck from the sides of the bed in any case. But I really love the idea of being able to open this hatch and have access to stuff right here that is just contained right here. So that's sort of the thinking here. If you have some other vision or ideas or ways to, you know, make use of this space, you know, let me know. Whatever I do build into the truck here, I think I am probably going to build it out of wood. I watched a couple of my friends work on their builds using aluminum extrusion and all these little fittings and various panels, and it's a nice system and it looks really good, and it's very, very lightweight and strong. To me, it feels very, very fiddly, and if you get something wrong, a lot of stuff has to be taken apart, and it just, to me, it looks frustrating. I think that I would find it frustrating, and I'm comfortable working with wood. I'm nowhere near being too weighed down back here. Whatever wood I put back in here, I don't think weight is going to be an issue. So I think that's the way I'm going to go. I often have people say, hey Donald, I'm not far from you. I've got a wood shop, I've got a metal shop, I can help you do this, I can help you do that. And I really, truly appreciate all of the offers of help, access to equipment, access to workshops. I do like to try and do things myself using, average tools that the average guy would have. So I am going to try and build this out myself in my garage with what I have. Now, I do plan to keep it very, very simple with electrical, just using my Jackery units. And this is not a Jackery ad. You may not have noticed, but in all of 2023, you have not seen any Jackery spots. I'm not currently working with Jackery as a sponsor. I have these units though, I do like them. They have worked great for me and I plan to continue using them. I don't have any interest in building out a dual battery system or house batteries and all of the wiring and solar panels and voltage controllers and all of the, I am not going down that road. I don't want to. I found that for my needs, when I'm out camping for a week, 10 days or whatever, a couple of Jackery units keeps it simple, and I can charge them off the truck when I'm driving. It just keeps everything very simple, and then that's, not a bunch more stuff that I need to go buy. Now, I've been using the Mr. Heater Buddy for years now, and this is a great heater. It's relatively inexpensive. It produces a lot of heat very quickly, which works well for the way I use heat. I heat up the space, when I get into the camper at night, get ready for bed, shut it down for the night, sleep in a nice warm sleeping bag with an electric blanket. I don't need heat through the night. In the morning, turn it on, heat up the space, get dressed. So, it works well. The problem with this kind of heater is that it burns propane inside. The combustion is happening right here inside your camper, inside your tent or whatever, and burning propane produces a lot of moisture in the air. Just being inside of a camper like this on a cold night, breathing in and out already produces a lot of moisture. And when it's cold, usually it's wet, snowy, you're tracking water in. Everything is very, very wet. The last thing I need is yet more humidity in here. So I'd really like to come up with a heating system that is more of a dry heat. I'm not going to do a diesel heater. I am just not attracted to the diesel heaters. I've seen so many people have so many issues with them. That ends up being a third type of fuel that you have to carry in addition to extra gasoline, in addition to propane for cooking. Then you're also carrying diesel as well for your heater. So I would like to be able to burn propane for heat, but I don't want to do it this way. I've looked at the Olympian Wave 3 heaters. That's a catalytic propane heater. It's similar to this heater, and it does burn the propane inside your camper, but it's not the exact same process. And while it does produce humidity, from all the reviews I've read, it doesn't produce as much humidity. A lot of people are really, really happy with them. Now, it is a slower heat. It doesn't give you this super strong blast of heat the way this does, but I think most other systems that I would look at would not give you that mega blast of heat that this thing does. It would be more of a, elongated sort of heating process. Those Wave 3 heaters are relatively affordable, in the $300-400 range, I think, compared to, say, something like a Propex heater, which is something that I am considering. Given how much I like to be out in fall, winter, and spring, I feel like I'm willing to put down some money towards really being truly comfortable. My friend Jason, again, in his van, he's had a Propex heater for years. He loves it. It works great. When I'm out with him in the winter, spend a lot of time in his van because it's warm and comfortable and he's always got that heat on. That's definitely an avenue that I am considering. I also really like the Dickinson marine heaters. They are propane burners that are vented so there's no humidity that comes inside, and they actually have, you know, visible flames. My buddy Harley had one in his alu-cab camper, and my friend Chuck has one in his Scout camper, and they are really appealing little heaters, and it's a similar investment to getting into something like the Propex heater. I just don't really have a space where I could mount something like that. It also needs to have a chimney of some sort, and so I don't think that that is going to work on my camper. Every single time I've been out in this camper so far, it has been raining or snowing or wet in some way, and I couldn't help thinking back to considering electric heat again. You just can't beat electric heat for, you know, its drying effect, but it's just so impractical to power a heater. Anything that's got enough power to, you know, heat a space like this when it's truly cold outside is going to be pulling, you know, a minimum of 1,000 watts, and that's just going to chew through even a big Jackery in a very short amount of time. So as appealing as electric heat is, I think I gotta have a way to use propane for heat. Alright, so it's still going to be a while before I get to the build in the camper. I've still got a long ways to go on the bumper build, and I am busy with a large client project that is keeping me fairly tied up. Fortunately, that's not going to stop me from getting out and camping when I have the opportunity. Next video in this series, I think will be insulating the camper. I think that's the first thing that I need to do, is get some insulation in there and then look at covering that insulation with something. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but we'll get there when we get there. Again, if you have any input at all in what I'm doing here, I would love to hear from you. I read all of the comments. I can't always reply to all of the comments, but I will read them. I will hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching.